What's up, guys? Just coming to you, and this is going to be our first real superhero chat. I got here with my friend Lewis,
Hello.
and we're always talking about superheroes and stuff, and that's really what gave me the idea for the channel.
DC's best.
That's right. And so I was really excited that I was able to get him, and we actually just kind of have a talk about superheroes and stuff. And today our topic of conversation is the Flashes. So Lewis here is a big Flash fan, and of course his favorite is Wally West.
Yeah, I can't run fast. He can, so I live vicariously.
Now Wally West is your favorite character in general, right?
He's up there,
He's up
if
there.
not my absolute favorite.
Who would your favorite be?
The one I enjoy reading about the most would be Wally, because he has the ability to grow and change, whereas my absolute favorite, Superman,
Really?
is a little more bound by certain tropes and things.
I was wondering why you were so offended when I said I wasn't a Superman fan.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that at all.
I mean, I've seen your hat forever, but
Right.
Anyway, so what makes you like Wally?
Well, honestly, the first Flash story I can recall reading was the introduction of the Elongated Man, and it was this little DC Digest book that had a bunch of origin stories in it, and I was intrigued by the idea of the character of the Flash, but there was something about Barry that really didn't appeal to me. I don't know what it was. I've since gone back, and my appreciation of the character has grown, obviously. But having read, I guess, various things, so the Titans, one, I love the Teen Titans, and the various incarnations thereof, and Wally was usually a mainstay in those various groups. Again, he was a young character. He wasn't bound by sort of the same sort of traits that adult characters had to abide by. So there were different stories that could be portrayed, and let's be honest, when I started reading the character, he wasn't fast as light. He had to really try hard to be a hero. I remember one of the first issues I read in early days of my comic reading in the early 90s. It was an older issue of Titans or Flash or something he was guest starring in, and like the fact that he was running caused him pain, and yet he overcame that and continued to be a hero. And if you want me to sum up my love of Wally West as the Flash in 2 words, I'll just say Mark Waid.
When does Wally start having trouble when he's running? Because I know that in my reading of the New Teen Titans, he starts to struggle with that. You know.
Well, there's a part. So, like, Mark Waid did a great job with his sort of Flash year one storyline, which was his intro to as the main writer on Flash, called Born to Run. It's in trade. You should read it.
You know when
It's
that,
good
what
stuff.
year that was?
Oh, that's a retcon of his origin.
Okay.
So what it does is in like 4 issues. So they came out in the early 90s, maybe 91, 92. Is 62 of the Flash. So the original Flash comic was just called Flash, but this was the Flash.
Sensation Comics.
No, see, now you're going back to Jay Garrick, and love the character. Think he serves well as a mentor. That's the one thing I think DC has over Marvel in a lot of ways, is they actually know how to have older characters that mentor younger characters, and yet I don't know what they're doing with their stories today, because there's no JSA, there's no Legion that spins out of Superman's mythos, and so
I know
DC quit dropping the ball on that, and Marvel, get on the Fantastic Four and make it good.
I know this is way off topic, and we'll get back to that. Why don't you think that DC uses Alan Scott? Because I like all the Green Lanterns, but never see him anymore.
Well, so for some reason they have become again embarrassed by their Golden Age characters. And Jeff Johns, who I commend him for his work on Hawkman. Hawkman is one of my favorite characters. I thought the way that he sort of encapsulated all the messed up continuity there and sort of made it work was great. And
He's
then
coming back, by the way.
I don't care.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I worry about how that's going to work. I mean, how long is he going to last? I feel like he's died at least 10 times in the last, 10 years? So if you're killing the character over and over again, you're telling me you don't know how to write it, and I don't care. I feel the same way about Martian Manhunter. He would be my absolute favorite character just because he's got everything Superman's got.
I thought you said Superman was your
yeah.
favorite.
Because he's the easiest to be a fan of because everybody likes Superman. But Martian Manhunter is the best because he has all the powers of Superman. He has the detective abilities of Batman, and he has the ability to grow and change and learn and do stuff different than.
Be afraid of fire.
No, shut up. See, because okay, the dude in the '80s, J.M. DeMatteis or whatever how you ever say his last name. He wrote some excellent Justice League comics, and he made that a psychological issue as opposed to a literal issue, which I
Oreos,
appreciate. So
I like Oreos.
Chacos, that's the DC brand.
Whatever.
No, it starts out as Oreos, but then Oreos like, we don't like that, so.
Why wouldn't you like one of the awesomest superheroes liking your food?
Well, he was addicted to it.
It's like E.T. Like they weren't allowed to use M&Ms, so they used Reese's Pieces.
And Reese's Pieces
Reese's
are better.
Reese's Pieces exploded after that.
Reese's Pieces are much better than M&Ms anyway.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you do.
No.
Have you eaten a Reese's Pieces?
Yes, I've had Reese's Pieces.
There's no question.
It's not peanut M&Ms.
It's better than peanut butter M&Ms.
It's not dark chocolate peanut butter.
Dark chocolate? Okay.
Dark chocolate peanut M&Ms are the best. Anyways.
I might agree with that.
All right,
dark chocolate's pretty awesome.
So Wally West.
Yeah.
But why do you think that he's better than the other Flashes?
Well, like I said, he was a young character who inherited the role and had to grow out of that. When I was reading comics heavily and that sort of thing, I was there. Like, I had to grow up. He had to grow up. It fit. I think that's why people like Peter Parker not married, because then he's like them. He's at that stage of life where he's between being a child and being an adult. And so at that time, Wally would have been early 20s. And so he was having to learn how to be a hero like we all have to grow up and learn to be an adult. And it really spoke to me because he made mistakes. He paid for those mistakes. And, he found his true love, Linda Park. And Mark Waid encapsulated his run by having them get married after a couple false starts, and it was great. I mean, compelling stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if if this isn't just kind of in general why people reboot a lot of characters, because you develop a character for so long, and then it's reached an audience for so long, and then they want to kind of copy and paste that experience for new readers. And so in order to do that, you start on the basic level where they don't have love interest anymore, and they're not married and have kids. And because of course Wally got married and had kids eventually,
right?
They do that a lot with Superman.
Right, they get to a point where
Peter Parker, where suddenly he's not with Mary Jane anymore.
And his true love, by the way, just saying.
Well, I mean, and Superman's true love is Lois Lane.
Absolutely.
So,
any relationship with Wonder Woman is one of convenience and not true love.
Which is kind of what I'm worried about with one of the things I'm worried about with Bendis coming is because I mean that the Lois and Clark stuff has been amazing in Rebirth, and that was what got me into Superman lately. To begin with,
Right.
I saw the Superman Lois and Clark run, and I
Which
was
was
like,
good stuff.
"Oh,
He
that."
let me borrow that, and I was impressed.
I was like, "This looks awesome."
Dan Jurgens and a few other folks.
So I got it, and man, I was just like, "Wow!" I didn't know that Superman could be good, written well.
That right there is a really sad testimony of comics in general. If the superhero that like if you walk up to a person on the street and be like, name a superhero, $5, I'd say 7 out of 10 times you're gonna get Superman over Batman. 7 out of 10 times, and I could be like overestimating Batman's popularity because folks dig Batman anymore because he's dark and brooding and what. Comics are not always supposed to be that way. I think there's certainly value in that because I've seen all of the Batman movies except what's that terrible movie they made? Oh yeah, Rise of the Dark Knight.
I mean the Dark Knight Rises.
Whatever it's called. See, I don't even care what it's called.
It wasn't terrible. It was good.
Okay. When you can't understand what the two main people are saying throughout the movie because of see, we just did the whole Batman movie for you. You can skip seeing it if you haven't already. If you have, you should request your money back. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm not saying it was great. I know some people.
He liked it. I can't even bother.
I know some people who thought it was amazing, and I didn't think the Dark Knight was that great either. Which some people consider heresy, but
right.
That's because it's not the real good Joker.
Not that Heath Ledger's performance wasn't amazing; he just wasn't playing the Joker.
Right.
Any number of other characters he could have been called, and it still would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting take.
There
on
were
the Joker.
touches of Joker in there.
A lot. Yeah, I mean, those were the best parts of the movie.
Right. Like when he's does the pencil trick,
when he's the nurse,
when he's dressed up like the nurse. Like I start laughing when he walks on the screen because I'm like, this. If they did this, like, what? Just for the record, Mark Hamill's Joker from the Batman animated series, the best.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, he's the Joker we always wanted.
Yeah, and he's the Joker we deserve.
That's right.
So thank God for the cartoons and
the one that we need.
Whatever. Thanks, Christian Bale.
I want Mark Hamill as the Joker, DC. Yeah. Make it happen.
If you're gonna do like an old Batman movie, he's the perfect Joker, right? Like, and he's not doing anything. He's dead, right?
From, and I mean, like the current.
This guy, he's wearing a Star Wars shirt.
That's right.
They didn't want him anymore, so DC.
So DC, pick up on
Please,
that.
We'll pay money to see that. It might actually make a good Batman movie.
And get him on the Flash as a trickster more often, and get him on in the big movies as the Joker, an old retired Joker. That'd be really awesome.
Right? Yeah. He could show up and shoot Jared Leto in the face, and then be like, "He was never me. I'm the Joker." Right? And just the voice alone would sell the character for you.
I think we should just get rid of the Joker, the Jared Leto Joker, anyways.
Yeah, he's not the Joker. He's some guy in clown paint.
Anyways, so
I don't know how that's Wally West related, but
I feel like
this is how this works.
I feel like your reason for liking Wally is the reason I like Dick and Tim.
Absolutely, those two characters. I mean, Dick Grayson, Wally West's best friend. Why wouldn't you like the character?
I mean, Tim.
I mean, even with a mullet, he somehow made that look cool. I don't know how you do that. Dick. Yes. You'll get there as you're reading the Titans, but trust me, you'll be like, I see the value of a mullet now. I mean, and that's hard to come by.
I had a mullet at one time, is what he's talking about. So I didn't.
I didn't see it. I didn't know him when he had the mullet, or at least I didn't acknowledge that I knew him when he had the mullet.
We went back there.
Right. I just don't remember the mullet.
Whatever.
It must have been a very brief period of time.
I shaved it pretty, maybe 6 to 8 months after I met you.
Right.
Because it was 2011.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
and
that would have.
I came to church at 2010. Anyways, Superman also had a mullet, which is awesome.
No, it wasn't a mullet. It was just slightly longer.
It's hair. A mullet. It's awesome.
No, it's slightly longer hair.
It's pretty.
It comes to like his neck. It's not free flowing down his back or anything. So, and it's not cut on the sides. It's not, business in the front, party in the back. It's party all over, man. Honestly, my favorite DC action figure is the Superman with the mullet, because that's what he looked like his face looks more, comic accurate than any of the other action figures they made. So that's why I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Batman, but I always liked Robin, because,
Yep.
well, he was my age when
Yep.
I was growing up.
There you go.
And, I mean, I never had a Robin, like, action figure. I had, a couple Batman action figures, but
Right, because they make 896 different varieties of Batman and then one Robin, and there's like 10 Batmans to one Robin in a box. So if you want the Robin figure to hang out with any of your, Oreo Batman, your Rainbow Sherbert Batman, your freeze-dried Batman, whatever, you get the one Robin. So it's hard to come by.
yeah. Well, I think, parents don't know to buy Robin unless you specifically ask for it. And
Right, and how many kids are like, give me a Robin? They're like, get me a Batman, and they're like, oh, well, there's this Robin here.
I hadn't really learned what fandom was yet.
Right.
But I loved Robin. Like, I liked his colors better, because I liked, green. And
the green
when
is
I was a
awesome.
kid,
Yeah,
a lot of
I hate
kids-
they downplayed that, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I think they didn't play the yellow. Tim Drake was a red and black, but with yellow in his cape. But when he first
had green leggings on.
Well,
because
Robin
he didn't
did.
want to be.
But
Right.
Tim Drake's the one who changed the colors.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, like.
If you look at Tim Drake now, this is green.
Okay.
His legs are green.
Okay.
So he still got the green with accents of red.
I'm talking about the Robin costume though, with Red Robin and then Damien and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, that's because they.
And I hate Damien, so we can pretend like he doesn't exist.
I won't do that, but I don't like him either. He's growing on me.
He has more respect for folks.
He's
I'm
growing
too
on
old
me.
to care.
But anyways, so, and maybe that's why I've started to like Wally myself. It's because I've always liked Robin, and Wally's like his best friend, and especially reading like new Teen Titans.
even Young Justice with Bart and Tim Drake, they're best pals.
Yeah.
With Connor in the mix. Connor, aka Superboy, the real Superboy.
Yeah.
No offense to John Kent fans, because he seems like an interesting character, but he's not Connor. So hopefully they'll figure all that.
Well, I think he's the
out.
best friend for Damien.
John,
So,
yeah, but Damien
so
doesn't.
Tim
exist
has
yet.
Connor.
Right.
And
Bart.
And Bart.
Yeah. It's a triumvirate. I don't know. It's a three-way friendship. Triumvirate.
And then,
I think is
and
the
then
word.
Damien has Wally West too. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And,
I remember that.
although they haven't really been best friends because
But they're moving in that direction, because I saw some preview of a book where or maybe it was one of the books you lent me, where he shows up at the end and Wally West 2 has let the girl get away instead of kissing her or whatever. And he's like lurking, and he's like, I knew you were there. He's like, what gave it away? Like, because Damien is such a what's a clean version of he's not a likable person.
He's a terrible person.
Yes.
But Super Sons.
But he
is awesome.
Anyway, he was spying on Wally West too, and Wally West basically called him out, like, I know you're there. And Damien's like, how'd you know? And I'm like, because you suck at your job. Batman should fire you.
Yeah.
And disown you.
In case you don't know, so the Wally West, he was created like Silver Age in like the 60s, 40s?
Oh, the real Wally West. I thought you were talking about the new one. Yeah, Flash 110, if I'm not mistaken, was his first appearance.
Yeah.
So definitely the 60s.
60s, okay.
Well, I don't know.
That's a good thing to
Think.
look up.
Maybe we have a tab. It might be 19. Yeah,
but
keep talking.
but Wally West is redhead. And then Wally West 2 was a Rebirth's reboot of Wally West. And we'll talk about that in a second, but he's the African American Flash. He's in the Flash TV show. That's Wally West 2. I'll tell you, that guy, the guy who plays him in the Flash TV series is awesome. He does a really great job. I feel like he's technically playing Wally West. But he does really good. His character in the Flash TV show is a lot more interesting than his character, I think, in the comic books. And it's weird. Like, they did some.
I hate autocorrect. Just saying. I keep trying to search for Wally West and it. Really West? Walt West?
They had him on the Flash, and then he ended up on Teen Titans, and then he left Teen Titans because he got in a fight with Damian, and then went with Deathstroke for a little while, which was stupid. And now he's back, and now actually I don't know what they're doing, because Teen Titans kind of is going through. I don't know what they're doing. They're about to reboot it. It's got the same numbering, but it's got a whole new team, and I didn't see Kid Flash on there. And then so I don't even know what they're gonna do with Wally West 2. I don't want them to kill him. I think it's a really interesting character, as long as they make him a new character.
1959.
There we go.
I got the right issue, but the wrong date.
So I'm glad
Weather Wizard was the bad guy in that issue.
I'm glad that they've made him his own character, because trying to just make him. I hate it when they just change characters in comic books, and
I don't even care that he's not a white guy. I just hate the way that they did Wally West after Barry came back. They ignored 20 years worth of stories and continuity for the sake of saying, here's Barry Allen. I don't want Barry Allen.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like, they hadn't done that with any of the other characters when they switched.
That's not true. Hal Jordan had come back before. He was the prototype for why Barry was brought back. Jeff Johns is in love with the Silver Age, and let me be honest, I'm not upset about all of that. But when it causes you to say, we don't want none of the Golden Age, and we don't really want any of what's come after the Silver Age, we just want the Silver Age. I'm sorry, get away from my comic books, dude. Because the problem is characters cannot grow, change, and be who they are. And I understand Batman has to be Bruce Wayne and Superman has to be like certain things. I get that, because otherwise I wouldn't like the characters either. But at the same time, you have these other characters like Wally West or Dick Grayson who grow up and move out of the shadow of their mentor or overtake their mentor.
Right.
You know, become greater than the teacher.
I find that a lot more interesting.
Right.
And I think that's led to all of DC's problems. Is a failure to
appreciate their history,
to move on and have new characters, and which they try to do in every reboot. And what they realize is that everybody wants the old characters, and the reason is because they keep rehashing the old characters over and over again.
Right.
And well, I mean, everybody loves the characters they grew up with, and so that's what they want to read. But after a little while, people start enjoying the new characters, and if they're written well and the story's good, because we can identify with other characters. And I feel like something like modern storytelling in general has a problem with is moving on and writing new stories.
Right.
And you see this in Marvel and DC over and over again, where they just reboot everything to try to get back to the classic feel of everything. And when people complain because it doesn't actually match up with the classical feel, then they have to reboot it again and do it again.
Right.
And
or folks are like so put off by what's come before that they're like, I'm not even going to give you a chance to show me that you know how to handle this character. Kind of like the DC movies at the moment. Like, that's not Superman. I saw the end credit scene where Superman and Flash race, and I'm like, this is the most like Superman I've seen Superman in all these stupid movies, and I think he has like 3 lines of dialogue. Like, we're gonna kick you off the team, Barry, if you can't beat me in a race, and I'm like, well, he should smoke you then. And I know he's joking, but I'm like, that sort of banter and camaraderie.
Where was that?
At the end of the Justice League movie, there's a little a Flash Superman race, and they're standing there. Yeah, I don't know. They're standing there getting ready to race, and Superman's suit is actually a hopeful shade of blue as opposed to the near about black piece of mess he went around wearing for the first 2 movies.
Yeah.
And they're joking with one another. And while the banter of the Flash guy reminds me more of Wally, I can accept it as Barry. I can tolerate Barry not being hopelessly boring.
I felt like that's what that character was.
The character was
hopeless. And the Justice League was hopelessly boring.
Oh, have you been reading the old Justice League stuff?
No.
Because the Justice League Year One that Mark Waid put out in the late 90s to sort of explain the history of the Justice League post 0 Hour, pre-Infinite Crisis was quite good. Diana takes the place of Wonder Woman in the original 5. Batman and Superman were just colleagues that worked alongside them without actually joining. And it was very, very well done. But it's Mark Waid. He does really well at certain things.
Or at least he used to.
Huh?
At least he used to.
That's true. I hadn't read a whole lot of what he's done lately. I heard folks like his Daredevil stuff, which is an interesting character who could either be Batman Jr. or Spider-Man Jr. But I think he has a way to pave a lane for himself, and some folks have done better at doing that than others. I think you can tell a Frank Miller born-again storyline with Daredevil where Daredevil is drugged through the gutter by the Kingpin and have him still come out and have those sort of goofy storylines a la Carl Kessel mid-90s run. That was good.
I really like the Justice League movie. Barry Allen was the only thing I didn't care for.
You didn't like Cyborg's armor either. You agree he's too armored up. He's not human enough with his armor.
Yeah. And that's one thing with on Cyborg.
Cyborg doesn't need to be in the Justice League. Just saying, he's perfectly fine being a Titans character. There's
or maybe I haven't. Maybe
you have. I don't know.
I know I've talked about it.
You've talked about it with reviews of. And it has nothing to do with him as a character. He's just not cosmic enough or valuable enough in the sense of the character. Now, we love the character. Like, he's one of our favorite Teen Titan characters. And we think, as a Titans character, he's amazing. You want him to run the Titans? Please, go ahead.
Well,
he did with Jeff Johns' run, sort of. He was mentoring the Young Justice folks. He's Starfire and Raven, I think.
I feel like just because of his personality, he's not really the best leader.
Right. No, he's a tech guy. He's very much a computer guy, that kind of thing.
I mean, anybody can rise to the occasion.
Right. Because if they can't, they suck as a character.
And they've kind of forced him to be like the leader of the Justice League lately. And one of the beautiful things about Cyborg is that he hates being the Cyborg. At least early on.
Right.
It takes him a long time to really
feel comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah.
And I know they mother boxed him, so for those who are watching and you want to argue with me that he's not cosmic enough, that's new. That's not Old school Cyborg. No, we've already looked into this. There was some interdimensional beat. So I don't mind him fighting Trigon and stuff like that, but if he goes up against Despero or Darkseid, he's gonna get crushed.
Yeah. At least early on. Well, he was only a teenager when he first started too.
I don't care. What I'm saying is, like, he's not on Superman's level. He doesn't have Batman's whatever.
Well, what I'm thinking is, in the future, the Titans become the Justice League.
Okay, I'm good with that.
And then they're once they've matured and grown as adults and are powerful enough, like their power has gotten to its prime. Then I feel like the Titans could actually be the Justice League and do well.
And still call themselves the Titans, because it'd be like the X-Men growing up and becoming the Avengers. I don't need that. They're the X-Men. We know who the X-Men are, and we're okay that there's an X-Men team. Let it be okay that there's a Titans team.
I feel like the Titans are whatever. I feel like they would.
Oh, we disagree.
I feel like they would all take their mentor's place. So you have Tempest. He would become Aquaman and ruler of the seven seas, and you'd have.
He doesn't need to be Aquaman.
Doesn't need to,
he's
unless Arthur dies, and then
but
somebody's got to be Aquaman.
He can rule, but he can still be Tempest. He
Dick Grayson
would
become Batman when Batman dies.
Dick Grayson will never become Batman.
I disagree. Well, I mean, okay, in an ultimate sense.
Okay.
But I feel like he would probably step in first.
Right.
Because it's his right.
Right. Inheritance and all that.
And then, but I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped down while he's still alive. Batman's never going to step down from Batman until he's dead, because he is Batman. And because Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's not.
Bruce Wayne is his costume.
Bruce Wayne's the costume. Batman is his identity.
Right.
And but Dick Grayson.
At least from the moment his parents died.
But Dick Grayson is Dick Grayson.
Right.
And he might be Nightwing sometimes. He might be Robin sometimes. He might be.
That'd be
Batman.
weird if he went back to Robin as an adult. He had some sort of brain injury or something. That would be interesting to see him try.
But then and Wally West became the Flash.
Right.
You're okay with that one?
I'm perfectly okay with that one. Because Barry died the greatest comic book death ever. He sacrificed his life in such a way that no one dying has ever touched that. And because of that, he did not ever need to come back for any extended length of time, short of maybe Marv Wolfman's suggestion that he was literally outrunning death at every step. Like, death was literally on his heels, and he could go at any moment. Like, if they did that, like he's living on borrowed time, that would be a compelling story for me. But if he's just like, oh, it's another sunny day in Central City, and I'm the Flash, the fastest man alive. Shut up. That's Wally. Wally's faster than you. Shut up. We all know that. We ignore it because, there's a TV show where the guy's popular, but it's only because he's sort of a blend of Barry and Wally. Because here's the thing. If it were just Barry as he was in the comics, Barry, the character, was super boring. Precisely to play up when the Flash came on the scene. Like, that was something Mark Waid really delved into a little bit in the Born to Run series. Like, Wally couldn't even stand being around Barry until he found out he was the Flash.
Huh.
He hated having to spend time with Barry when Iris was doing news coverage of some whatever, and he was like, "This is so boring." And so Barry goes in the other room and immediately turns into the Flash and comes back and is like, "Hey, buddy," because he recognizes like. He has to be so boring, and he's running late. I love that. I think that's awesome.
That's great.
At that time, the fastest man alive being late for everything was a great storyline hook. But, that's why in the Year One series that Mark Waid did, Barry in that got to shine because he got to take the mask off and still be who he really was.
Yeah.
He didn't have to pretend like every. So I like the Superman that's a little bit more. I mean, the Clark Kent that's a little bit more self-assured. He's not bumbling like Peter Parker has to bumble to pretend to not be Spider-Man. So I like John Byrne's Superman, Roger Stern, early '90s Dan Jurgens, because he wasn't like I'm this guy, you know. I thought Christopher Reeve did a good job even before that. Even if he wasn't
I
as
like him as like the clumsy guy.
But it doesn't have to be his defining characteristic, though. I don't want the guy who's like, I'm not a nerd at all, because then he's just Superman in street clothes.
Right.
He's Clark Kent, and he understands when to be full on and when to play back.
Right.
So
I love Christopher Reeves as clumsy Clark Kent.
right, but even I just watched that with my kid the other day, and even that's great. So I'm not opposed to it. What I'm opposed to is like every 5 seconds, he's like, "Oh, I can't do anything right, Lois." Yeah, I don't need milquetoast Superman.
I mean, that's not what I'm arguing for.
I know, but I'm saying some folks would argue like. So the point that I'm making is if Clark went to the extreme that Barry went to not be interesting as Barry, so that no one would ever realize he's the Flash, I think we'd all pull our hair out and nobody would like Superman.
So does Wally have like a different personality when he's Wally?
Nope. He was always known as the Flash. There was really not a whole lot of secret identity.
Huh. He didn't run around as Wally much.
No, he did. Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the Rogues knew who we were, and they had developed, because of Barry's sacrifice, they had developed a begrudging understanding of who Barry was, and said, "All right, we respect you, and we're not gonna continue down that path." I mean, Heatwave and Captain Cold and the Golden Glider had reformed and become bounty hunters or something under William Measures-Loeb, or I forget exactly how you say the guy's name. The guy who wrote it before Mark Waid.
Names now.
I'm sorry, his name is hard to say. It's like Mesners-Loeb. I don't know.
He picks on me because I never remember any of the writers' names.
His Flash stuff was great. He actually introduced Linda Park, so I can't hate on that. And they had like this, flirty thing under the surface that wasn't full blown. He totally laid all the groundwork that Mark Waid was like, "Oh, look what's bloomed here," and he couldn't have done it better. And then eventually, when Waid leaves Impulse, that guy steps back in and writes some pretty compelling stuff with Bart and Max Mercury and
I feel like just I've been reading the New Teen Titans, that the Titans don't care as much about their they don't spend as much focus on their secret identities as far as.
Well, it's because they're a team. They don't have to, because they're always on the go. No, I don't think Teen Titans Go is a good show, but the Teen Titans were always on the go, and as a result, they didn't have time. I mean, but you do have that though, right? Because Donna gets married in that series.
Well, I'm not saying that they don't develop their personal life, because I feel like the Titans all tend to like see their their superheroing as an extension of their personal life.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the main heroes in the Justice League, Silver Age, tend to focus more on their superhero life to the,
That's why Elongated Man is such a great character. Because he wears a mask, but it's not like he hides who he is. So he's got a foot in both worlds. Because he can, he stretches. So
I love the Ralph on the
Flash
on
series.
the Flash, man. That's so good. Yeah, I'm not going to do any spoilers because you might not have seen it. But I thought the guy who did it was really funny. He's
If you tell me they
been
killed
really
him,
great.
I don't know that I would doubt that.
I'll tell you in a little bit.
Yeah.
But man, it was so good.
No, I'm just kidding.
He's my favorite part of season 4, and I think he really just made the Flash better.
I agree. Like, again, my first Flash comic that I ever read was the introduction of the Elongated Man, and the idea of them being friends really appealed to me. Like, because Elongated Man is a goofball. Barry is dry as a stump. That combination, I love. I loved it when Barry and Hal Jordan would team up, or even Hal Jordan, who would play the straight man to Green Arrow's more I don't know, out there, seat of your pants kind of living thing, and that was always interesting too.
Yeah, you kind of see some of the boringness of Barry when you in this TV show when you meet Elongated Man, because Ralph is constantly making jokes and stuff, and it's hilarious. And he's just kind of like a fun guy to be around. And Barry makes a few kind of nerdy jokes every now and then. But,
right. Does he make the flashbacks?
He's so serious all the time.
Does he? Great. Flashbacks are
he doesn't do flashbacks.
What?
Which is dumb.
What? What?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's sad. But I feel like the actor who does Wally West, he should do some flashbacks.
Oh, that could be interesting.
That'd be cool.
I always thought it was funny in the Paul Blart movies where he's like random fact or whatever.
Mall Cop.
Yes. The first one was good.
Yeah, and the title I'm gonna say that we talk about the Flashes and Mall Cop. No, but I like the TV show. I think the Flash is the best of the 4, mostly because I don't think that they get Arrow right. But
maybe because I heard that they're gonna start calling him Green Arrow.
Well, they've been calling him Green Arrow.
Oh. I was assuming this was a corner they were turning. I don't have time to watch.
He's not funny. Oliver Queen is a lot
snarky. He's very snarky.
He's very snarky. Chummy is a word I've used.
I like that word.
He's a very funny guy. Sarcastic.
Sharp-witted.
Lighthearted.
Like an arrow.
So, and that's what
he doesn't take any crap. Like, he's not going to stand there and banter with you. He's going to cut to the quick, and be done with it and beat you up.
Yeah. I don't think he takes everything seriously, but he hides that with humor.
Veneer of humor. Yeah.
And that's what I've always liked about him. He's great. And then when him and Dinah get together, it's great. It's great because she's very similar. And
right, and she doesn't take his crap, and that works really well for them.
Yeah, that works great. And they're always bickering with each other, but in love. It's great. Which is why I haven't. The only problem I've had with the Arrow show is he's way too seriously. He takes himself way too seriously. Actually,
well, that's because they were trying to copy those Batman movies we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Which works for Batman. It doesn't work for Green Arrow.
Not at all.
People liked it for a little bit.
Right. They were like, oh, we can deal with this. And then I almost imagine there was a shift in the fandom of the show once they started skewing toward more concepts that actually harken back to all the things that make Green Arrow such a compelling character.
Yeah. Well, they're like, oh, well, we can do all these things because he kills people, unlike Batman.
That gets old fast, though.
It does. It does, because, I mean...
At some point, he's got to say,
I
guess I don't care about this anymore. You're not important.
I don't think that Green Arrow necessarily just goes around willy-nilly killing people.
He doesn't. No, even in the comics, the Mike Grell stuff, where he starts killing people, it's not willy-nilly. It's matter of life and death kind of things. At least from what I can remember reading.
We're getting away from the Flash. Any last thoughts on the Flashes?
Wally West is number one.
Really quick, was there a Nora West in the comics?
Nora West. I don't know. Is that supposed to be Barry's mama?
No, that's the new. Well, I think it is, but that's Nora Allen. I guess it's Nora Allen in the show.
Wally's parents are Randolph
There's
/ Rudolph West, and then Mary West is Wally's mama's name.
Yeah, okay. Getting a little into spoilers of The Flash. If you haven't seen that, I'm sorry. But there's a new character in there, Nora Allen.
Okay.
I'll tell you about that in a little bit. I was just wondering. I know that Barry has 2 kids, Barry and Iris. That's
Yes.
Dawn and Dawn.
Thank you. I'm not even going to try to enunciate that for you. They're the Tornado Twins. Look it up. Wikipedia is your friend.
I talked about a little bit in my Flash finale video, so go check that
Now
out.
I'm excited to hear about that.
And then Wally has twins, doesn't he? Or he at least
Yeah,
had,
Jay and Iris.
That's what I thought. So I was right.
Woohoo!
I said in that video, I was like, my friend Lewis is gonna correct me if I'm wrong on this, but
I have no idea if they still exist in any capacity
I
whatsoever.
don't think they do, because he's not even with. Well, they do. So if you the newest issue of the Flash War, which I'll probably do a video on the Flash War soon. He sees his family, and he wants to save his family. It's really so part of the.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you. I'll talk about it in another.
Right,
minute.
it's all
I'll
time
talk to you
travel.
in about a minute, but
Time travel and stuff. So.
Anyways, well, what did you think of that? I hope you enjoyed our conversation.
Comment below. Seriously,
yeah,
comment.
leave us some comments. Let us know what you think.
And if you think this video is too long, let us know that too.
My hope is to have some more superhero chats, and we'd like to chat with you in the comments since we can't talk in person. And let us know what you think, and let us know if you have a topic you want us to talk about. Lewis here is like an encyclopedic knowledge of old comic books, so.
And wrestling.
And I don't care about wrestling.
I know. I'm just saying, just really random stuff.
That's true. That's true. But anyways, hope you enjoyed that. Let us know. Leave a comment if you like to see something new. Any other topics you'd like to hear us talk about. And
maybe you can interview a comic book store owner.
Oh yeah, that might be coming up. Anyways,
that's what you call a plug. And he's trying to segue out, and I'm just not letting it happen.
All right. Peace out, y'all. Catch you next time.